War is coming to home buying and selling in Orlando. Are you ready for a war? Welcome to the Orlando Real Estate Lifestyle, where we explore the intersection of Orlando real estate and your best life. I'm your host, Phil Kruse, here to help you make the most out of your journey right here in the city. Beautiful. I was thrilled recently when my buyers won their bidding war. We pulled out all the stops. We went to the crazy open house where there was buyers digging through the home, falling all over themselves, talking about how much they like the home. And what you don't realize is that these buyers had been looking for a home for years and lost multiple bidding wars. Believe it or not, they actually came in second 3 or 4 times over the years. And it was such a relief to have them win the bidding war. And boy, did I learn a lot over those years in how to navigate those scenarios. So, as that anecdote implies, today we'll be talking about the science and the headache of bidding wars. We're going to talk about how do they happen? How do we create them? And what do you do when you get involved? So, how do you navigate a bidding war as a seller if it happens when you're selling your house? That's number two. And number three is how to win as a buyer the bidding war, or better yet, how to avoid them altogether. But before we get started, I'm obviously a real estate agent. So when it's your time to make a real estate decision, think of me. My name is Phil Kruse. Again, that's Kruse with a K, Kruse. A portion of all my commissions go to a charity of your choosing. If you don't have a charity that you're passionate about, I work with the New Image Youth Center right in downtown Orlando. They support the underprivileged youth of the Paramore community. I mentor there, and I also donate a portion of my commissions. And let's not forget about my listing services. This is what we're going to be talking about some today, something called the auction effect to get your home to sell fast and at the highest price. And if you like what you hear on today's podcast, keep in mind, this is my 43rd episode. I have tons of other content for you. It's called the Orlando Real Estate Lifestyle. So it's about Orlando. It's not just about real estate, lifestyle tips, interviews with lots of business leaders like the owner of Orlando Power Yoga, Kelly Sen, or the poet laureate of the city of Orlando, Sean Welcome. While you're on there, make sure you follow me. Give me a 5-star review. It really helps. I'm on YouTube as well. Maybe you're watching on YouTube. Click the bell, subscribe. It really helps. And you'll get a notification every Monday when I release new episodes. And of course, I'm all over social media, providing all that kind of Orlando real estate and lifestyle content, all about the city beautiful. Find me there at Phil Kruse. Again, that's Kruse with a K, Kruse. Just put Orlando, just put real estate at the end. If you're searching me on social media or Google, you're going to find me. Now imagine you walk into the perfect house. Maybe it's an open house. Maybe you're seeing it with me as your real estate agent and you're looking to buy. It checks all your boxes and you absolutely fall in love. And when we're done seeing it, you say, Phil, this is the house. Let's go. Let's pull out all the stops. Now imagine if I get back to you and say, all right, that sounds great, but just know that there's a quote multiple offer situation. They already have a bunch of offers on the table. We're probably going to be getting involved in a bidding war. How would that make you feel? Might make you feel excited, but it might also make you feel apprehensive. So, what is a bidding war and how do they happen? So, let's unpack that process. Bidding wars used to be something that were very common, especially during the COVID real estate boom when the interest rates got reduced to near zero by the federal government. So buyers were getting interest rates in the 2% range, believe it or not, or maybe even the low threes. And that low interest environment stayed for a while, call it a year and a half to as close to 2 years. So people were getting in bidding wars because buyers could afford a heck of a lot more than they could pre-COVID. Nowadays, we don't have that low interest rate environment. We do still have great interest rates, especially if you look back at historical data. So bidding wars aren't happening on every house like they were back then. Even on condos and townhomes, believe it or not, they were. Now, bidding wars are generally happening in the most desirable areas of Orlando and on the best product or best houses. So some of the best areas are pretty much all of Seminole County because so many families want to be in that great Seminole County school zone. Then, of course, you have the nice neighborhoods of Orlando. You're talking your College Parks, your Winter Parks, your Winter Garden, Soto, a lot of these great established neighborhoods that have great schools. Those are where the bidding wars are going to happen. But it's not just about the area. It's also about the quality of the house. Nowadays, your number one home buyer from a demographic perspective is millennials. All right. I'm a millennial. We're coming in with our families, our young kids, and we're wanting to get into a good neighborhood that has character, that has good trick or treating, that has good neighbors, is safe, and has good schools. But guess what? Our generation isn't the most handy. You know I'm talking about you out there. Maybe that's you, and you don't want to deal with a house that needs to be fully renovated. So if you go into the best area of town and you find either a new construction home or a fully renovated home, maybe a flip or a home that was meticulously cared for by the seller, that's going to be the combination that yields a bidding war. Beautiful, perfect house. Maybe it has a new roof, new AC, nothing needs to be done, and in a great area. Another reason we're having bidding wars still to this day. Okay, that bidding war I referred to at the beginning of the podcast, that just happened last month, all right, in July. So why? We still have a dramatic lack of inventory. A lot of people want to sit around and talk about, oh, I want to wait. I just had a buyer tell me, oh, I'm still thinking about waiting for prices to come down. Prices are not going to come down, okay? Unless we have a catastrophic economic calamity that tanks our entire economy and probably the world economy, okay? Think 9/11, which did it for a brief period of time. Of course, the housing bubble of 2008, which was caused by a deregulated real estate market that will never happen again. The regulations are tight and locked in. Or something like COVID that is unpredictable, you're not going to see prices come down. And guess what? Unpredictable, COVID actually made prices go up. Okay, so home prices aren't going down. We have a lack of inventory, meaning not enough homes available for sale right now to match buyer demand. Supply and demand, there's still a high demand in Florida. We have thousands of people moving here every day, literally. And the number one city for growth in the state of Florida is Orlando for people moving in from out of town. And you don't have enough houses. That's going to keep prices going up. So we don't have enough houses. That's one, right? Best areas of Orlando, beautiful house. Combine those three, you're going to get a bidding war. Some things you might hear about for bidding wars is something called highest and best. When the seller asks for your highest and best offer and gives you a deadline, that is a veiled version of a bidding war. And sometimes that's called for even after you've already sent in your offer that you probably already thought was great. So keep in mind, I'll get more into that later. Now, let's flip the script and talk about if you're a seller. Picture yourself right now selling your house, but you're not dealing with the inconvenient showing requests and you're getting it under contract in the first weekend for over asking. Note, over asking price. You're not selling it to one of these professional home flipping companies like OfferPad that's going to offer you less, significantly less. You're going to get it under contract in the first weekend. How? By creating a bidding war. So let's talk about if you're a seller and you get yourself into a bidding war type situation, and bidding war is really just a cliche for a multiple offer situation in which you get to choose between your buyers. How do we deal with that? And also, how do we get to that point? Because honestly, that is the best case scenario for someone who's selling your house. Now, I teased it in my plug earlier. The auction effect is the way I like to describe the best technique and strategy. And it's what the sellers did for my buyer to create a bidding war earlier based on the story I told you. The auction effect is when you purposely list your home below what we agree upon is the market value. So let's say I sit down, I provide you all the comps or comparable properties in your neighborhood that sold recently, and we agree that your house is probably worth $650,000. Well, we might purposely list it for sale for $620,000 or $610,000. That might make you nervous as a seller. But note, just because you list your home at a certain price, doesn't mean you have to sell it at that. You can pull down the listing, we can raise the price, we can lower the price. You're not contractually obligated to anything until you're actually under an actual contract or signing a contract. So the listing is not a contract. You price it below fair market value, and you get out of town the first weekend of showings, okay? So we hold the listing, we post the listing on, say, a Wednesday or a Thursday, and you're in a good neighborhood, in a nice product, people want your house, they're gonna see it come up because they have internet searches on Zillow or Realtor.com or through their real estate agent, and they're gonna see, oh my God, look at this gorgeous home, it has everything, it's $620,000, it's gotta be worth more than that, we gotta go see it. Then they say, oh, we can't, they talk to their agents, oh, we can't see it today, or we can't see it Thursday. oh, we can only see it Friday, Saturday, and Sunday of this coming weekend. And then you hold an open house as well. Have your agent hold an open house. Again, you're leaving town. So all these people can come in and see your house either with their agent Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, or during an open house. And you're going to create this crazy auction effect, especially if the open house is highly attended. You got all these people that are unrepresented by their agents, or their agents aren't able to show them the home. They see everybody else there. They see the cars parked out front. They're gonna be like, oh my gosh, we knew this thing was underpriced, but we're really gonna have to offer something above asking price. And that's how it happens. The buyers go back, talk to the agents. The agents look at what the home is worth, and they say, hey guys, look, this thing is priced at 620. I could see it easily selling for 650 or more because that's probably what it's worth. Next thing you know, you got the buyer offering above asking, well above asking, and then you have other buyers doing that. You have people waiving the appraisal contingency, meaning if it doesn't appraise, they're still going to pay cash to cover the difference. We're getting into the weeds a little bit here, but if you have a loan to buy the house, the home has to appraise at the price listed on your contract. So if you offer 650, the home has to appraise at 650 so that your bank will say, all right, the home is worth 650, we'll give you a loan. If the appraisal comes back at 620, your bank's going to tell you, hey, we can only give you a loan for 620, but you're under contract for 650. What do? Normally, that's an opportunity to renegotiate with the seller. But in this case, you're waiving the appraisal contingency. So you're telling them, even if it doesn't appraise, we're going to pay cash to cover the difference. So for this example, you're under contract for 650, it appraises at 620, you're going to bring $30,000 to the table to close the gap. This removes risk for the seller. So this is what you want as the seller. You want to remove as much risk as possible. Maybe people are going to say, your house is so nice, and you have the record saying that it has new AC and a new roof and all this other maintenance stuff. We trust you. We're not even going to get it inspected by a property inspector. And they waive the inspection. That's what you want. Maybe they're going to pay maybe they're going to pay cash. They're not even going to have a lender. That's what you want. This is what we can create if you have a great home, in a great area, and you're willing to take the perceived risk of pricing it under value and creating this kind of situation. Now, how do you deal with this as a seller? It can actually be really stressful. First world problems, right? You might end up with 10 offers that are all over list price. Half are waiving the appraisal contingency. What do? Buyers are probably sending you love letters that say how much they love the home and, hey, look at a picture of my family. I don't recommend you read those. Let's try and get emotions out of it. So what people oftentimes do is they allow these offers to come in. Then they contact the best agents and the best offers and say, all right, we want the highest and best offer to come in by Sunday night or Monday night. And the agents might, well, we already sent in our best offer, and say, well, we got a lot of great offers, and this is you as the seller instructing your listing agent to do this. And if they're me, they know what to do. And they say, all right, go back, have them do one more chance. Hey, you can keep your offer as is, but we're giving you an opportunity to come in with your highest and best offer. This is your chance to maybe tell them, hey, if the highest price is at 655, if you can beat it, or you don't tell them. It's all up to you as the seller and your listing agent, how you guys want to do it. I've been in situations where we just call the best buyer, the buyer of the highest price and the most well qualified, which I'll get into shortly, and just say, hey, look, the highest price is 655. If you can come in at 660, my seller is going to sign the contract for you right now. And we don't even have to go through the bidding war process. So there's a whole lot of reasons to do that. Why would you select a particular buyer over another buyer if all the prices are the same? Well, maybe they're better qualified, meaning maybe they're putting more cash down towards their loan. If they're able to put more cash down towards their loan, call it 20% or more, that means they have more money in the bank. That means they're more financially stable. That means they're less of a risk. If they're putting down a smaller percentage, that usually means they have less money in the bank and are potentially more of a financial risk. They can cancel the contract if they have a financial calamity, the buyers can, and they can no longer qualify for their loan. That's why cash is king. If you can get cash offers and they provide a proof of funds showing that they have the money, that's the best bet. The next best bet is a loan where they're waiving a buyer with a loan that's waiving the appraisal contingency, one less piece of risk, that has a lot of cash in the bank. So you want to make sure your buyers are not only submitting a pre-qualification letter from a lender saying that they're credit worthy for you, but also have them submit proof of funds showing that they have the money in the bank to cover their large down payment. So, and then you pick. Sometimes as a seller, you get emotionally involved and maybe you attend the open house as a seller, or maybe you do read those love letters and you end up wanting to pick a family. You say, I want to make sure my home goes to a family, not a flipping company, or not, I just want to make sure it's taken by a family with you know, just that you appreciate. Maybe you want to meet the families. Maybe you want them to send in love letters to help you decide. I can help you with all of this, and we can get as aggressive as we want to drive up the price and keep going back and forth and calling the best agents to say, hey, this price just got jumped up to 675. Is your buyer willing to do it? And keep going back and forth. You might risk pissing some people off and turning them off big time, or we can go the route of the highest and best offer and pick, and then choose the most well qualified and call them and give them the first right of refusal to match or exceed the highest price. If it sounds a little bit complicated, that's because it can be. And that's why you need a qualified listing agent who knows how to deal with all this stuff. I got your back. Now, what if you're a buyer? If you're wanting someone who wants to buy and you just listen to all of that, it might be stressing you out that you might have to deal with a bidding war. But I can tell you, as a buyer, it is so exciting to win the bidding war and get the house of your dreams. But how? How do we do that? Okay. First of all, one decision that sometimes works is you try and force a quick decision. Maybe the seller doesn't have a savvy listing agent or isn't aware of the auction effect type thing, and you're able to get in right when it's listed, day one, day zero, okay, as it would be on the listing, the day it's listed, and you can send in a very strong offer that says, and your buyer's agent will do this on your behalf, and we say to the listing agent, this is a great offer, but the buyer is looking at other homes. They want this one, but they need a decision by tonight. Otherwise, they're going to move on. It's a risk to take because now you're this aggressive sales tactic that might turn the seller off, but it is a tactic that I've seen work. So depending on the situation, trying to force a quick decision from the seller could work. Of course, if it's a good home in a quality neighborhood and we know it's coming, you're going to have to be going over list price. Okay. So if it's offering 650, you're going to have to go 655 or 660. Send in one of those love letters and hope that they read it, explaining why you and your spouse and your family or whatever your situation is so great. Include a picture. I can help you write that. Okay. ChatGPT can help you write that. If you're getting a loan and you're pre-qualified with the lender, have your mortgage lender call the listing agent after you submit the offer. Don't tell the listing agent to call the lender, which they should, just to make sure that they're legit. Have your lender call them immediately and say, hey, look, this buyer is super well qualified. I'm super excited to work with them. You have a great team. You have Phil as your buyer's agent representing the buyer. He's a pro, knows how to deal with all this stuff, has a great team that supports him. And you also have me as the lender supporting the buyer. They're not going to walk away from this. They're not going to have a financial calamity. And he explains the whole reason why. Imagine if all that stuff comes together. The listing agent it increases the odds that the listing agent is going to choose you as the buyer. Now, here is the key. Pay attention to what I'm about to say. Include an escalation clause. This can get a little tricky. An escalation clause is a separate document that basically says, I'm willing to beat any other offer from another buyer by a certain amount, call it by $5,000, up to a cap. So let's say the home is listed for $650, you offer $660, but you're like, I'm not losing this home. I don't care how much it takes, but my cap is $700,000. You provide an escalation clause that says, we're offering $660. We'll beat the next highest offer by $5,000 up to $700,000. And you can put that price really high. And knowing that you're not actually ever going to pay 700, like if they come back and say, all right, we'll give it to you at 700, you can choose to say, oh, never mind, you called my bluff. I'm not doing it. But that gets you to have that conversation and gives you the opportunity to be the one that they call at the end of the bidding war and say, hey, Phil, we're choosing your buyers. Their escalation clause is up to 700. We have an offer on the table for 675. Are they willing to go 680? Plus you sent in the love letter, plus the lender has called them. And guess what? They also love me. They also love me as the buyer's agent. This was one of the reasons they selected my buyer. I was dealing directly with the sellers in this case, and they said, you know what, Phil, we just really have a great rapport with you. You're a professional. We like everything that you're saying. And the fact that you're going to be involved in this transaction makes us feel really comfortable. This is another reason you need a pro buyer's agent representing you in these situations. The quality of your agent can be the final deciding factor. What if the seller is at their wit's end and they have all these amazing offers and they all seem so great? Everyone's waiving the appraisal contingency. what they need something to help them decide. And if they're represented by a listing agent, the listing agent might say, hey, look, I talked to all these agents. Some of them sound like they know what they're doing. Some of them don't. But this guy, Phil Kruse, he's got his act together. He's going to get us across the finish line. He's a pro. He's got a team. Their lender called us. They got everything buttoned up. Let's go with them. Let's make this easy for you, Mr. and Mrs. Seller. Another thing you can do is you can try and meet the sellers at the open house, butter them up. I've even had buyers, and I don't recommend this, I can't, but I've even had buyers go and knock on the seller's door after the fact and just like implore to them that they pick them. So that's kind of pulling out all the shots. And again, I, as a real estate agent, can't advise that you do that, but I've seen it done. You want to walk away from this learning session hanging on to the tidbit of that escalation clause. I can tell you that that is going to be your most important tool and the one that works the most, but you have to know how to use it and use it strategically. And I can help you do that. What if this all sounds like way too much for you? How do you avoid it? Okay. What if you don't want to deal with a bidding war and say, Phil, this sounds like I don't want to deal with this. I just want to buy a house. I don't need this kind of stress in my life. So how do you get the home of your dreams without going into a bidding war? First, buy a home that is in need of some renovations or that is on the outskirts of those great neighborhoods. Remember, I told you the biggest bidding wars are happening in the most desired locations in the best product to fully renovated homes, okay? Or new roofs and all that. Maybe there's a house out there that has new bathrooms, but the kitchen needs to be renovated or vice versa. The roof's bad, the AC needs to be done. That's a scenario where most buyers is a lot less buyers competing for that sort of a product. That's where you can go in and you can have more of a quote unquote normal buying experience, at least how it used to be pre-bidding wars. We're talking mid 2010s. Okay. It's been going on for that long. That's one way. But if you're like that typical millennial out there, a typical buyer out there that doesn't want to deal with buying a house and then having to renovate it, really the only other option, in my opinion, is buying new construction. Buying new construction can make things so easy, especially if you're buying from a corporate builder. One of the issues with that is that usually means you're going to be on the outskirts of Greater Orlando. Now, depending on your price point, there's a lot of new communities right now. All right. So I'm filming this in August of 2024. There's a brand new community that just started right next to downtown Orlando, right on South Street, tucked back in there and like kind of like the Thornton Park-ish area, like the Mills 50-ish area, super nice. There's Everby over in Southeast Orlando, east of the airport. You can go in there, you can pick a home that they have done or pick a home that they have almost done. You're not having a bidding war, you're not competing with anybody, or you can pick your home site, pick your floor plan, pick from a menu of options and have them build it. And when it's ready, you move in. This might be especially convenient for you if you're someone that needs to sell your house before you can buy, because the builders may be willing to work with you to time the move-in date of so that you can time in the sales date of your current home with the purchase of your new construction. You're not going to have any stress that way, or much less stress. And the builders are desperate to sell. They're offering all kinds of crazy incentives like interest rates that are reduced. I just talked to a builder the other day that's offering a 30-year fixed loan from their lender at 4.25% interest. I mean, that's extremely low based on where we're at now. Another builder, the one near downtown Orlando, is if you buy one of their large single family homes, they're going to offer you $85,000 in flex cash, which you can use to pay for your closing costs. You can use it to lower your interest rate, or you can use it to lower the purchase price of the home. You should definitely be using as much as that you're allowed to use to lower the interest rate so that your monthly mortgage payment will be reduced. If you lower your interest rate, it's reduced way more than if you lower your the amount, the purchase price of the home, all things being equal. So those are the two easiest ways to avoid a bidding war. Of course, I know all the new construction around Orlando. I'm also a property developer. I build single family homes. If you need help buying new construction or with any of the stuff I discussed today, let me know. I'm your guy. Look, bidding wars can be great for sellers and a nightmare for buyers. Either way, I got your back. I know how to handle it. If I'm listing your house, I know how to handle it. If you're buying, hit me up. A portion of all my commissions, regardless of if I'm the listing agent or the buyer's agent, a portion of all my commissions go to charity, a charity of your choosing, or to the New Image Youth Center. jump on my podcast, jump on YouTube, hit the bell, hit the like and subscribe, leave me a 5-star review. You can copy the links and share it with your friends or post it on social media. If you're one of my friends listening out there, if you're somebody who cares about the information I'm providing, please do that. That's how I can spread the word. At the end of the day, I just want to help people. And that's what I'm doing, either helping you buy or sell a home, or helping you understand Orlando, or helping you live your best life, right? And get me on social media. Google me, Phil Kruse. That's Kruse with a K, Kruse. Put Orlando, put real estate at the end. I have an amazing website with a great blog. And of course, you can find me that way by searching me the same way, Kruse, Phil Kruse, on Instagram or Facebook. I'm posting content all the time. I have a weekend post. I post every Friday with my top 5 favorite things to do in Orlando. I'm providing so much content and value for you. I know that you're going to want to work with me when it's your time, and to tell your friends and family to work with Phil Kruse. That's Kruse with a K, in Orlando when it's their time. And always know that your best life in Orlando is within reach. Keep embracing every moment. Cheers.